uh, at the end, at the end of the talk, I do have those two Disney pictures we forgot to look at 2 weeks ago that you wanted to see.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, just remind
Yeah,
me.
so I'll try to remember myself. I forgot that day.
I always thought of the brain as trying to emulate Orson Welles. Isn't that true?
Oh, yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, today we're going to talk about the wonderful world of Disney souvenir movies, and I don't know how many people have collected them over the years, but when I worked for Disney, we got a really great discount. I think I got 30%, so I was buying them at all the stores. I probably bought them even before I went to work for Disney. But then over time, you say, "Oh, I've got the video. It's so much better. Why do I need a 6-minute version of Mary Poppins when I can buy the whole movie?" So over time, I dumped most of them. But I started realizing over the years that you can get some really great footage in some of the movies of the theme parks. Obviously they can go into say something like Small World. They can turn up the lights and get views that you can't. Because even back when these things were really big, this was the days before camcorders and any sort of home video. So just as an example, see if it shows up here. Here's a little box of It's a Small World, and this comes on a 50-foot reel, and it was a great bargain for $7.95 in 1975 dollars, which translates about $46 today, and it runs under 3 minutes. It's 2 minutes and something. So you start thinking about how much money these things cost to amass a good sized collection. What's interesting in trying to collect them is that Disney over the years decided that there must be some absolute scarcity of catalog numbers. So let's reuse the same catalog number over and over and over again. So you can get the same catalog number, 7-Eleven, It's a Small World, and matter of fact, I've got two of them here, so not that it matters any, but you can have two different boxes that look the same with the same catalog number, and the movies can be different. And there's no way until you buy it and look at it to find out whether it's different or not. What's really interesting in trying to look at them is that you can take the one movie and it will be 90% of the other movie, but then they'll have done just a few different things that have changed. And it's usually when they did something like take out an attraction or add an attraction in the park, like when they put Mr. Lincoln at Disneyland in 1965, all the movies they had of Main Street now all of a sudden had a quick shot of the Disneyland theater with what you call it, Mr. Lincoln, or 7 seconds of Mr. Lincoln himself. But that was again the exact same box, the exact same everything as the other ones. What they would do sometimes on some of these, which makes it frustrating, is that they would shoot them with different cameras. So the 90% was shot with one type of camera, and the inserts they were doing for the new movie were shot with a different camera, and they would have different frame ratios. So at times your movie would all of a sudden go full screen and then shrink down a little and then pop up, sometimes wider, sometimes higher. And you didn't notice that so much on a home movie because you have what they call an aperture plate in the projector that basically the light shines through the aperture plate, goes through the film, goes through the lens onto the screen. Well, if the aperture plate is slightly smaller than the whole frame, you don't notice when the aspect ratio is changing. All of a sudden borders appear and disappear. When you're scanning it, all of a sudden you're going along and boom, it gets smaller and then it gets larger again. So what I've had to do is working on these, if I had to go when they do a sequence like that, is go in by that one small section and enlarge it back to the full section. So it makes a challenge. The real challenge, though, is that these things are basically chemical time bombs. They have, if we all remember our elementary school chemistry, they're all composed of the primary colors, red, green, and blue. And over time, the dyes fade. Matter of fact, if you buy an old Kodak, you come across the average reel of Kodachrome film that you shot your family movies on. Right on the flap of it says, not warranted against changes in dye color, as these are a natural process that may occur over time. Well, all the dyes don't dye. Boy, I'm getting into debt there. All of the dyes don't fade at the same time, the same rate. The red stays pretty strong, and the green and blue fade away. So I'll just come up with an example here, share screen of one of these movies, give you an idea of what you're dealing with. So we're gonna optimize video clip. We don't have sound. Take that out. So this is just a real quick clip here, and you can see how it's gone red. And this is by no means the worst of the things you're going to find. This movie was from about 1970. You get into the ones that were from 1960, and next for 10 years, you can imagine how the dyes have changed even more. So luckily with the computer, oh, let me just pause this here 1 second. What you can also see is that there's two frames, the main frame and then another frame below it. That's because the scanner image, the sensor is larger than the film. So you get more, you can either crop the film down or you can shoot the whole thing. You can crop it down optically and lose some of the sides and everything, or you can crop this in the computer, which is what I choose to do. But it's a challenge when you scan it, because the scanner, what I can do is I can turn down the red a bit and turn up the green and blue a bit, and that helps somewhat. But then it becomes more of it's a fun challenge to fix these in Photoshop, not Photoshop, photo editing programs. So let's go take a look at Disneyland with some of these things restored a bit. They're by no means perfect. You'd like to get all the pink out, but you do what you can on it. But you can see it's come back a lot more from what we saw before. There's still just a tad of pink in there. If I kept working on it and working on it, I could do more. But after a while, when you have a stack of 50 of these things to do, you say close enough is good enough. How many people have the song going through their head? It's also, I bought a device. You can see there's some horizontal scratches that go, vertical scratches that go through it. I bought a device called a wet gate, which is supposed to help take these out, but I've not had the courage to bolt it onto my scanner yet, so I'll do that at some point in time. But this film was scanned, and then it went through several steps to take it. I first cleaned them all physically with a chemical solution. It gets off a lot of the dirt, although we'll see in one film today, you can only do so much. Then when I scan it, it goes into a restoration program, which tries to remove the dirt by looking at a frame, looking at the frame before that one and the frame after, and see which just pops in and disappears. It's a piece of dirt, and it mathematically interpolates and takes that out. However, a vertical scratch is there frame after frame after frame, so it can't do that. There is a nifty little piece of software that will do it. It's only $10,000. If anybody would care to contribute to my GoFundMe account, I'll be glad to set one up. Somehow I don't see that being in my tool bag for any period of time. But again, these were sold by the zillions, and it is interesting to watch the prices people put on eBay for them. There's some guys that are constantly, they'll try to sell a film like this, $150 rare, because it's 50, 60 years old. But they sold them by the tens of thousands. Now, a lot of them got chucked out, as people's last projector bulb burned out, not going to do anything with it. A lot of people, did what I did, with all the films. I'm never going to want this again because I can get anything I want on video. And then you find out, you can't. And then sometimes you just want to collect it for the sheer nostalgia of having something that you owned when you were, young and impressionable. Then we go out the door there. Back in the days when it was still Walt Disney Productions. So let me take that one. So that was Disneyland. Now we can go to the exact same catalog number. Let's see. I'll find a different one here. Move it over. So we're gonna hop down to see the Pirates now. And again, you'll have a pirate movie, and sometimes it will be they'll have the footage here of Disneyland on the outside. Then they'll go to the pirates on the inside. Well, what they'll do sometimes is release the pirate movie for Florida, but they would release it with an exterior of Florida with all the Disneyland interior scenes. Then people would complain or something about that, and then they would re-release it with the exact same catalog number with the Disney World interior. I keep wondering if these people here that are in these movies, if they get any sort of benefit out of it, like a free admission to the park or whatever. It's also trying to, think about how long this was, and these people are probably old farts like we are now, or like I am. There's some of you young people out.
I wonder if they're just cast member and their families and they don't have to pay them at all.
That's what I think.
You scurvy dogs. No, Carlos, don't tell them.
Don't be cheeking.
Yeah.
Buh, 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 buh.
I still remember my dad going out to Disneyland well before I had, and he came back. Pirates is always his favorite ride. When the pirate shoots and the flower pots break and everything. But he came home absolutely raving about the pirate who was sitting on the bridge, just dangling his leg as he's hanging the jug. And the fact that you could see all the hairs on his leg.
The hairy leg.
Yeah. He was so impressed by Disney that they went to the trouble of actually putting hair on the leg. The little details that make things special, right? I hope everybody doesn't get scared like the girls do.
Showing the people is a good promotional thing, but thinking about it now, on a 3-minute reel, spending time showing visitors' faces, I don't think I'd like that.
The one guy that went by just reminded me so much of Bruce Gordon. He used to work with us in Imagineering. I used to love to walk through this ride on Mondays and Tuesdays when it was closed. Sometimes the animation would be on, and it's just amazing to be able to walk up to the figures and see, see them in action.
Did they move quietly?
Yes, they're very, very quiet. You hear basically like a hiss and a click, but you don't hear, a lot of noise. When we were testing one set of figures back at the, let me just find the next movie here, Imagineering, we had this whole system called DAX, the Digital Animation Control System. And they were looking it was a big computerized thing. They were looking for a way to do this. I've just got to move something here. We were looking to come up with something called mini DAX, and it was a much smaller mini processor computer. And we had the pirate that sits there in he would just say, "Here, kitty, kitty," trying to, would you like a drink of rum or something? And it would sit there in the warehouse because we were just running it. Brock may remember seeing this thing. Remember, it would just run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to figure out if the thing would last. And it was so weird if you were going home at, say, midnight, and you were walking out and you had to go through the warehouse to get out to your car. And you'd just be walking through this dark, gloomy building and hear, "Here, kitty, kitty, kitty," would you like it?
Kind of sounds like Night at the Museum.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of history on that it, started off, it was, I think, just called pneumatic, right? With using air, and that there were a lot more clicks and jerky motions. And then the University of Utah Engineering came up with the hydraulic movement. And so it did away with the clicking, and it was all really much, much smoother, and realistic.
Right.
And we, our
By the
Salt
way,
Lake Disney group did a tour of engineering to talk to the engineers that developed that, and all. It was really interesting. I have a few pictures.
Technology all changes, right? And this
Yeah,
one,
oh, I'm sure it's completely different now. Yeah,
Now stepper motors mostly, yeah.
yeah.
I've got to go
Well,
back and do this one. I had cranked up the green and blue on the initial scan, and you can see like his chest here is all lit up a bit. And I'm gonna have to go back and drop some of these things down. So it's a constant thing of tweaking and getting them adjusted. I miss Teddy Bear. I miss the bears. They were a great attraction. I
Yeah.
just do not like the Winnie the Pooh ride they put in its place at all.
Great.
And they've changed the show in Florida now too.
Yeah,
Not the same show
I
anymore.
understand the changes were pretty good. I haven't seen it though.
Yeah, they're definitely it's good. It's definitely meant for the more modern, because it's all the current Disney songs, but
Right.
they did a nice job. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to get down there someday and see it.
Put in your mortgage application now.
Hmm.
So I keep thinking of Pete Renaday, and he was the guy that did the voice of Henry here. Pete did so many different little bits and pieces, but Carol and I knew his wife at the studio, and again, just weird when you're having lunch with the voice of an AA figure. Put on the saddle.
Blood on the floor.
Great big puddles of blood on the ground.
Twang.
Remember going in and watching when they were reprogramming the bears to do the summer overlay that it was a winter overlay that they did on it, and it was just fascinating to watch the guys programming. I'll get the left eyebrow up. No, not a little higher. We want to see more eyebrow. And the art director of the show or the show producer would be critiquing it, and the poor guys just how much damn eyebrow do you need? Now we go off to the Jungle Cruise. You can see how a lot of these things get damaged over time, which is another reason people chuck them out. What's interesting is I have the same exact footage they used in another thing, Disneyland attractions highlights, and it was done a number of years later than this one was. And because it was later, that the dyes haven't shifted as much. And I think the stock they used might have been better. So at times you get tempted, no, do I want to take the footage out of one and splice it into the other? Then you have to say, nah, I got a million other things on my plate. Don't worry, he can only jump 20 feet and we're 15 feet away. There's a guy out here that's I went out to lunch with, who's a former Jungle Cruise skipper, and real nice guy. And we were at lunch, and I think the poor people around us thought we were insane, because we basically did the entire Jungle Cruise several times over. Because you can imagine again how many times the jokes change over the years.
Why we go.
What's that?
That's why we go. Love hearing the tweaks and new jokes and stuff.
Well, I think I've mentioned on talk before, there was one time Carol and I went down to Disney World, and we were just there on a day off, but you didn't have to show a ticket. I could show my ID card, which had a blue stripe on it, which meant I didn't need tickets for the rides, and it meant I was a director level at the company. And when we got up to the Jungle Cruise, and I showed the blue ID, and the ticket taker was, oh, okay. And you can see she went up to the guy that was going to be the skipper and told him, you better remember the approved spiel, because the guy over there in glasses is from management. And we got on the boat, and the poor guy was just absolutely tongue-tied. And I finally leaned over to him and said, relax, I'm on my day off, and have fun. And oh boy, you could just watch the tension go out of him.
Oh.
Now, what I've got to do on some of these, you can see how the color just changed. The camera has what they call automatic white balance in it. It's supposed to find a way to identify whites and blacks and take out color shifts. Sometimes it takes a second or two to lock in. So what I have to do then is on a film like this is run it, let it lock in, reverse it without stopping the camera, and then edit out the reversal and go back into it. I didn't notice that when I first did it. The scanner came with its own piece of software that they wrote for the scanner, but the camera also comes with its own software, which has, again, different version or permutation of white balance. It works really well in the average home movie where it's got minor shifts between scenes. When it gets to this super red stuff, it just goes absolutely bonkers crazy. If I really had the time, what I could do on a bunch of these things is do scene by scene color correction, which I do with my own family movies that my parents took back when I was a kid, because they're more precious to me. Whether or not I get the exact color of the guy's sombrero here is not as important. Now, again, the real sophisticated software can do all sorts of amazing stuff, but you have to have a lot of time. And just even punching these things through the computer, doing what I've done here, a 3.5 minute, say a 3-minute movie here, obviously takes about 3 minutes. Well, it takes about 10 minutes to clean it, 3 minutes to scan it, and about 2 hours of dust removal, scratch removal, rain removal, and that sort of thing. So if you've got 50 of them times 2, all of a sudden you can see how many hours it takes to go through a batch of these things. I don't know if anybody else has ever been inside Small World walking through it when the thing is going, but by the time you get out of there, you never ever want to hear that song again. What's really kind of neat though is you walk through, particularly Disneyland, and you can still see the markings in the back of the sets for the 64 World's Fair, with instructions on where they were to go and the shipping instructions and that sort of thing. So I felt very much connected to the World's Fair going through there.
Bill,
Yes.
I want to make a quick comment on, you were talking about, voices that were used for characters and seeing them out of context and stuff. But the other night we were watching TCM and we were watching some movie, and right after that movie, Red Badge of Courage came on with Audie Murphy, and Royal Dano was one of the actors in there. But it was really interesting because it was like a young Lincoln. I mean, you could imagine, okay, if he played a young Lincoln's voice somewhere in there, that he could have done it then very easily, but it was just so interesting to see his name on there. And I knew exactly who, as soon as I went, I was like, Royal Dano, that's Abraham Lincoln. And sure enough, when he finally came on, it was like, yep, that's the Lincoln voice, but a younger version of it.
Yeah. Oh, it is funny. You'll recognize the name, of course, Brock, but it's funny. We have lunches. I think we've mentioned Imagineering lunches and stuff, and the woman that puts it all together, Debbie Del Mar, she's like our den mother of Imagineering, but she was in casted as an AA figure in the Horizons ride. It was just so strange to go through the thing and look out and see Debbie in the undersea lab.
Yeah.
They came by one day when they needed somebody in a hurry. Oh, I'm sorry, clicked on the wrong one here. We just did this one, right? Hang on, let me get the next one.
Did Debbie used to attend some of these sessions? I seem to recall her being here.
Yeah, she has been. She was on one just a couple weeks ago. She's been comes and goes as things go. So this
Yeah,
is
she was on the one that I did the presentation for.
right
Yeah.
stamps, right. So now I just keep hearing the Wonderful World of Color theme and whatever musical instrument they use for the zinging sound of her magic wand. But they did 2 versions of this because obviously the 2 main streets look very different at Disneyland and Disney World. And they were very nice. They actually, on the Disneyland one, it says Main Street Electrical Parade at Disneyland. And in the Florida one, it says at the Magic Kingdom. So why they didn't say at Disney World, I don't know. Again, another song that is going through my head as I'm watching this. I still think that's the best nighttime thing that they've ever done. And
Yep, agreed.
I was brought on as a consultant to try to come up when they replaced the electrical parade, they did what do they call it? Light magic, which
Yeah.
the eternal name became Light Tragic. And I was brought on as a consultant to come up with a replacement for Light Magic, and we got really, really far into it. Then the word came down that Eisner was not going to let us do it because he didn't want to be embarrassed and admit that Light Magic was a flop. So, but we sure had fun working on something to replace it. And we all knew it at our heart. There was no way we were going to have to do the Main Street Electrical Parade, but we had to come up with something.
Spectre Magic wasn't bad. The like second or third generation replacement for this.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what there's a new one coming out for Walt Disney World in July called Starlight. I wonder if some of your things have been brought onto that, old designs get reborn, so to speak.
Yeah. What I got a kick out of this one was the warehouse where all these figures were stored. I mean, it was you went in there and there's just wires everywhere to recharge the batteries for these suckers. But you look inside and they're very crude inside. But even during the daytime, you look at it and go, that doesn't look too good. Man, when you light them up at night, they're just amazing. Particularly back in the technology that they were using back then for the batteries were so much bigger and heavier and the lights used so much more electricity. It was to me just an outstanding parade. What's interesting is you post these things online and somebody will come by and say, oh, I was that bumblebee. That's probably me spinning around in circles. I did the bumblebee all the time. And people get a real kick out of oh yeah. And I remember like somebody else was on a video of the American Parade, and it said, yeah, I was a steam iron, and I really had the hots for the girl who was Betsy Ross. And just the memories of the people that worked on these things are different than us average people that just see it. Now, somehow I'm willing to bet all those people sitting on the side of the road were Disneyland or Disney World employees. Notice there's not a mustache on a guy. They did a big publicity stunt when they added Pete's Dragon to the parade. They had him at the studio and took him down to Disneyland rather, lit up. So they went and took him on they had to tow it because of course, can't go all that way on his battery. But they towed it down and they made a big thing about going through Chinatown with it and, all along the way. Made the local news. I have the news footage of it somewhere here on video. And that was, again, great publicity of, how do you get everybody to give you free 30 seconds of advertising for your parade and get more people to come down to the park. Mentioned in another talk when we were looking at a different light parade movie about seeing the parade in Tokyo Disneyland, where they added, they didn't have the American Eagle ending that we had for so many years here. They had this beautiful white swan with two little, cygnets, I guess what swans are. But it was just kind of fascinating to see the differences between them over the years. Now, of course, Tom probably has 27 different versions of records for the light parade, right?
I think there's like 6. The water pageant, and then say like you know Magic, but then it'll say Magic Kingdom or Disneyland or Disney World, and then there's one from Japan as well, and then another one I have is just a test pressing from the original record that they put out, and it's all white. Okay.
The ones
So
that were released, were they all picture discs?
yes, all except for the test pressing. Yep, and they're all different. I mean like the 5 are have different things on the picture disc. Like some,
Now, can you tell that
yeah.
I mean, are the pictures on the picture disc different, or do they look the same, or is it like trying to collect the movies where you don't know what you have until you listen to it?
Like I want to say, I think 3 of them are the same, but it just says, like I said, Disneyland or Magic Kingdom or whatever on it. And then electric water pageant's completely different picture, and I think, as I recall, the Japanese one is a different picture too of the parade.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people see the 45 and just go, I have it, and it's like, and don't realize all the variations that there are.
Yeah, they've got at least 6 versions of a film called A Day at Disneyland, and there's 3. The last 3 that they put out were the boxes look exactly the same, but the footage changes. And I've seen one version of it online where they go inside the Matterhorn and Harold the monster's in there, and he's not in the versions I have. But how often do you just want to keep buying copies of A Day at Disneyland and find out, oh, no monster, oh, I got another one, no monster. So sooner or later, one might come along in a batch that I buy with something else, but I've given up buying A Day at Disneyland.
Yeah, put it out there. I need the monster.
Good old Harold.
I think you saw I recently got the Haunted Mansion with the black label. I was so excited. I've been looking for it for like 25 years.
Oh, it's great when you hit something like that. In Florida, I had a friend who was see these guys playing music up here. A friend of mine talked me into going into the electrical parade and being a trout playing a instrument for the entire parade. Man, I did not realize how tiring you can get playing an instrument. And obviously, you're not playing it, but just dancing around for the entire length of the parade at Disney World. My arms were so tired of holding the damn trumpet up the entire time. But at least I can put on my resume, I was a trumpet playing trout. How many say that? Go ahead. Any others?
Some things shouldn't be mentioned.
No, it's one of the things oh, there's Elliot. It's one of the things I enjoyed was taking advantage of, the stuff you could do, work in there. And like I mentioned before about doing Chip and Dale on my days off. And I really enjoyed it. I had great fun. And you see how much the kids love it and everything. There were so many people that just go to work, turn around, and go home. And me being a Disney geek, I was just, you're going to pay me to do this crap? This is fun.
For you, Bill, it's like worked on nuclear submarines. Then my next move was to be a trumpet player in a parade, a Disney parade.
Yeah. Now this is one, again, I don't remember this segment too much with these neon characters. Does anybody else recall this version?
No.
No, was that Electric Light Parade?
Yeah.
Wow, I have never seen this float.
Yeah.
Huh.
One year they did that, and it didn't last a particularly long time at all.
Oh, beautiful. I imagine Disneyland, but not Disney World.
Yes.
Hmm.
All right, and we have another one coming up here. So this is a compilation of scenes from across the parks. They did this for both Disneyland and Disney World. They did attraction highlights #1 and #2 at both parks.
Look at the line for their jamboree.
Yeah. And this is the sort of thing that's great to take home. Normal 3-minute movie or under 3-minute movies. You can imagine, they're painting the butt of thread and get your loops at both sides of the gate and everything. And by the time you got it done, the kids were probably getting tired of it. But if you can put on a movie that runs 10 minutes here, so much the better. So some of this will look familiar because we just watched the Country Bears. Although I think we saw the Bears at California. You certainly wouldn't know whether this was California or Disney World footage.
Well, the shows are identical.
What's that?
The shows were identical, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's unlike Pirates where there are differences or Mansion, differences. The Country Bears certainly were the same in both. The only difference being we had 2 theaters at Disneyland, so we had twice the capacity.
Wasn't that the reverse? Wasn't it Walt Disney World that had the 2 theaters?
Nope.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I had it mixed up in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, and we had the 2 of them here, and they just had the one there because it was thrown in as an extra added attraction.
Davy Crockett.
Yeah. Hiya, Henry.
I always loved the antler moose and
Yeah.
buffalo. The deer, moose, and buffalo they had. Those were great. Not a bad bit of animatronic work, too. They did a pretty good job with
I'm not all here myself.
them.
Bill, do you have footage of America Sings?
What's that?
Did that ever come out? Did America Sings ever come out on 8
We're gonna see
millimeter?
that that's the next one. Perfect
Oh,
time.
hey, cool. Mark Davis's big last hurrah.
Actually, I'm trying to remember. Is America Sings in this reel? I know I do have it on the Disneyland highlights. But that I had scanned that earlier. I can go look for it after we're done with the new ones today. Yeah, I loved America Sings. I was so sad when they took that out. I did go and sit there with my camcorder and recorded it, and I did restore that video and stuck that online a number of years ago.
At what point did they stop issuing 8 millimeter films? Do you know?
Sorry, Wayne, I didn't get that.
At what point did they stop issuing
When did they
films?
stop? 80s. I don't remember the exact year, but somewhere in the 80s when camcorders and stuff started becoming a bigger thing. So one of the ones we're going to look at was the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and I believe that was about the end of that series. So Big Thunder went in Disneyland about 82, and I'm not sure which year it went into Florida, about 84, 85. So that was about the end of it. That's the last one that I've been able to find chronology wise.
Man, I love these subs.
Oh yeah.
My favorite too.
Like I said, we had a great fun. The guys that I used to work with on submarines would come over and visit me at Disneyland or Disney World, and we just, great fun about, yeah, we got to put windows in ours. I watch this now and I keep thinking about, boy, I sure hope the quality control of building these is good, because they need to evacuate this thing.
I never had a chance to do the Magic Kingdom version. Was it identical to the Disneyland one, or were there slight variations to
Well,
it?
Disneyland had the nuclear-looking subs. This had the Nemo subs, and they were like I said, down here you had the Nemo divers. There were differences between them. Basically the same theory about underwater earthquake destroying the city, that sort of thing. But they had different nuances, like these guys.
Yeah, the Disney World version was narrated by Captain Nemo.
Right.
Whereas the Disneyland version was narrated by some random sub captain. That bubble illusion worked better than it ever had a right to.
It really worked well, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Dead men tell no tales. Oh, we just saw a nun go by, just like at the World's Fair.
Good old Exitentio.
I'm thinking that this must be a somewhat later one because of the use of a zoom lens.
Yeah, again, it'd be nice if they actually had the years. It's interesting if you look at the leaders on some of these. Sometimes it's just nothing. It's just Academy leader counts down to 10. Other times you look and it will say Small World long version, approval number 2 or something, and it's printed right on the leader. And sometimes you can find out the lab that did it, their their internal job number, Disney job number. So just take out the magnifying glass and try to identify. Sometimes you can tell the years. Spit out the water, Carlos. Oh, guess we're not going to see him do that. Shift your cargo, dearie.
So on your larboard side.
Did they add Johnny Depp into the Disney World one?
Yep. He's there.
Yeah, it's been a while. I couldn't remember.
It's a nice animatronic, actually. Actually, there's several of them, but they're all nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think when they added Johnny Depp, then they used the compliance animation, so you could get the more dramatic movements out of them versus these are all the old style where, if you stop it too hard, they kind of shake.
Yeah, got a lot of frame shake on them.
I got a kick out of for the movie if you realize they put in the animation of the guns and the bullets going by.
This is Florida Space Mountain. Yeah.
Yep. 2 tracks. One of them that was even harder than the other one until they smoothed it out. It was interesting how many, the scanner has some trouble with some of these shots. It was interesting to see how many problems they had with broken tailbones until they finally realized it would be cheaper to fix the ride than it would be to keep paying medical bills. Cameraman that had to sit backwards and do these shots really had to go through hell.
Yeah.
No, really, I talked to one of the guys one time that had done it. Oh, because everything is in the wrong angle for your centrifugal force, what you're expecting. And he had not done this when he had done it on Big Thunder, and he said he had to see a chiropractor big time after that.
Hmm.
Hey, we survived another daunting trip. Now, what I've got here, let me go to get another. I did not get to go through all of the movies and do all the color correction and all the rest of it. So let me get through here to the end, and we're going to see some stuff in the pipeline, like Big Thunder. Okay, Big Thunder. So again, this one's not going to be framed quite right because I haven't had a chance to do that, and I haven't done I've only done the first stage of the color correction. We'll have to go off and do the rest of it at some point. But this again was mid '80s when this was released, and it still managed to fade this much in color. This is even with some initial color restoration done on it. I've got to do more manually, but they used really crappy film for this stuff, and they've all turned red. I mean, I've never seen a Disney Souvenir movie that has not shifted towards red. It's
How
not
does
just
that
Disney. If you go to Universal Studios, their movies have all turned red. Any of them that from this period of time, because they just went for real cheap, easy to copy film, and it didn't hold up. Now, if you go to the Panaview Souvenir slides, most of those have turned red, but every now and then, particularly in the Epcot days, you'll come up with two sets of them. One set totally red, and the other set absolutely beautiful, shot like it looks like it was shot yesterday color. So why some of them came out really good? And it was just the Epcot ones. I can't remember any of the others that have shown up with really good color. Look at the possums there.
They still work. They're just like that now today.
Yeah. I saw somebody had posted a blog post about a week or two ago where it was you can tell your age by what Disney attractions you can't go on anymore. It's like, oh, I used to be able to go on Big Thunder, but now I can't, and I can't ride the Matterhorn, and pretty soon Small World's going to be too much. But they start thinking some of these rides can be pretty, pretty, I don't know, tough if you're getting up there in years. So.
My problem isn't they shake me up too much. It's just I lose my equilibrium more easily now.
Yeah.
I can't ride Everest anymore for that reason.
Really?
Yeah. That backwards trip to Everest gets me every time. And I miss the Yeti.
Okay, so we've got that one. Let's see what else we have here. Uh-oh, non-commercial. Everybody's in your home, right? Nobody's in a...
Yeah, we're in home.
Okay, all non-friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this one was really bright red. Now, you can see the frame moves up and down at the bottom because even though this was a commercially shot film and everything, it was still, there was a lot of camera jitter in there for whatever they did. So this has gone through a stabilizer. So Mickey and the characters here are not bouncing up and down, but you'll see it adjust the frame over, the top or bottom, to move the frame up or down to keep the characters from bouncing. So I'll trim all that out. And again, there were two versions of this, looking at the Disney World version here. Now, this was running when I hired on in '76, and I still remember, when welcome to the company, go to the meetings, or to be able to be out on Main Street, have the parade go by, and then just turn around and walk through a gate and be backstage. To me, was like, this is awe-inspiring, because I had been to Disney World as a guest, but now you can go and see all the magic or everything that was behind it. And there were a lot of people that didn't like this parade. I thought it was really well done.
Is that like a witch trial float?
Yep. If she floats, she's not a witch.
That's pretty dark.
Yeah. I remember going down the costuming and just all these giant heads and figures and everything down there. And the people that worked in this parade really had to be in good shape. I mean, those things were, they were heavy. I tried one on just to see what it was like. And they were very, very top heavy, and big back brace and everything. But to be able to do this all the way down, it's easy for Ben. He stands there and waves. But these other people dancing with those heads the entire thing, the Florida heat and humidity, they really deserve hazardous duty pay.
Bill,
Yeah.
for some reason on my end here, I've lost. I know you guys are all watching it, but I've lost the video you're showing. All I've got is the gallery. Is there a button I need to hit or something?
Yeah, you must have hit something. I don't know what you did there.
Yeah, I've got
Maybe Yeah, no, I can tell by the way you guys are reacting. You're watching videos, obviously, and somehow I just realized that it came back to just the. I mean, I was watching the video, and I went to the side to look at something I had up on the side screen, which shouldn't have affected this at all because it's not even within the screen. I've completely lost the video. I don't know if I need to go out and come back. Let me back in.
Go out and
Wait.
come back and
Or-
then reset it.
I was going to say, try hitting your back arrow or sliding the screen. Just drag your finger.
No, I
around.
have already. I mean, it's
Okay.
just nothing but the gallery. There's no video. It's like I'm not getting a share screen.
Go if you're in the upper right hand corner, do you see the view? Select-
Yeah, I
click on
tried that.
standard. Click on standard for that. See what happens.
Standard. I don't see the word standard.
Okay, you should have standard side by side speaker, side by side gallery, and side by side multi speaker. So yeah, something's wrong if you don't have
Speaker,
those.
gallery, and multi-speaker is all it says.
Well, try one that you're not using already. That's what should reset the screen.
What do you mean one that I'm not using?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, there's speaker. No, there's just you with
Oh, well,
everybody else at
hi.
the top of that. Hi.
I don't know. It sounds like
yeah,
you brought up. The other one's probably
Yeah.
behind the screen.
Okay, I'll come back in. So watch for me to come in.
I'll look for you.
Never fails to amaze me how massive this parade was.
Oh, interesting. I just noticed on my screen at the top, there's a tab for meeting and a tab for Bill's screen. I wonder if he,
That's probably it.
I don't remember seeing that before, but that could likely have happened.
They redid the software. Well, they're always redoing the software.
Yes.
Things move.
Which I really enjoy is when you get all set to go to a meeting and you go, oh, okay, meeting starts at 10 o'clock. Let me log on at 9:55. Hi, we're updating your Zoom software. No. Okay, there's Brock.
Welcome back, Brock. You're muted.
Now remember, we all agreed to pretend we can't hear him.
Yes, that's right.
Mhm.
No, it was weird. It just suddenly dropped out and was just the gallery, and it's like, where'd it go?
By the way, the gallery, I meant to say the award for background of the week has to go to Eric. I love that bag.
I have a shirt like this. It was done by Kevin and Jody too.
Oh, really?
Ah,
It was funny, the parade replacement I worked on with Kevin and Jody, and that was, we had so much fun thinking what we could do with an unlimited budget. Two great guys. Now look, the guy on these stilts and wearing that head, walking in that street, this guy's got to be Superman.
yeah.
I mean, that's not easy, you know, any one part of it.
Michael, I think you said something about how big this parade is, and you're right. Every time I see a video from this parade, I see something I haven't seen before, a different character that I haven't seen before.
Yeah,
it was
agreed.
really involved. It lasted a long time too.
I'm a big fan of the sandwich float, yes, with the mustard.
Boy, I'm getting hungry.
I ended up picking up the book on eBay. I have to really look through it again.
Yeah, they really maximized this one, of course, running for 2 years. They put a lot of money into it because they could amortize it. But they put it out in books, they put it out on records, they put it out on slideshows, and things where you'd watch it on. Every time you hear the beep, of the, I think it was the gong of the Liberty Bell, you would advance to the next slide. So it's very, very well documented parade.
Were the parades a thing from the very beginning?
What's that?
Were the parades a thing from the very opening of the parks?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't know about for Disneyland that they had marching bands or anything, but
Oh, yeah.
for Disney World, as soon as it opened, one of the big things was the character parade coming down the street. I don't know if the electrical parade was there for opening year, and I don't think so.
No, I think it followed later.
Yeah, I think they were just so happy to get the damn place open. Add other stuff later on. Bongo and Lulu Bell. The thing is, audiences today, most kids who watch this have no idea who those characters were. They don't realize you does it with a slap, right?
I actually asked a bunch of kids that were hanging out, at the Frontier in Disney World, and they have Humphrey the Bear. And I was asking them, "Do you guys know who this is?" Not one kid knew.
Oh wow!
Probably, I probably only asked about a dozen kids, but they just thought he was adorable, and they were buying him and stuff, but they didn't know who he was.
I just got a little book and record of Lambert the Sheepish Lion, and I doubt anybody knows who that is. Outside of this group, just like
Yeah.
this. Lambert.
Yeah.
I was excited.
Yeah.
Look at that crowd. Well, those are the ones I had done this week. So I got so many others. The trouble is, it's a vicious cycle. I bought the scanner, I scanned a whole bunch of them, and then I upgraded the scanner from a 2K to a 4K scanner. So I was looking at this giant stack of these things, going, I really got to do these in 4K. Why? I mean, you're dealing with a film that's the size of your small finger nail. There's only so much detail you can get out of it, but then the new camera has so much better light source, and all the dark things come out better. So, but it's I'll get to it someday. But there's also many other things. I've got a giant stack of other Disney movies. Whether it's the extracts of Mary Poppins, or I did another one this week that I didn't show, which is a sound one that I have to go add the sound on. But with all these movies, they came in all sorts of different sizes. You know, you get Small World in a 50-foot length. They came with a 200. The largest ones that Disney ever put out were 400-foot reels, which are basically cartoon compilations. So we put 3 or 4 cartoons together. But I've got one that I'm really looking forward to watching. It's Disney's Greatest Car Chases, and it's a 400-foot reel. And at the beginning, you have pictures of Herbie, and there's a shot there from No Deposit, No Return, and Freaky Friday. But it's in sound, so I'm looking forward to doing that. But its sound is just one more complexity because the scanner I have does silent, which means I've got to now take the movie and run it on a sound projector, capture the sound. And although it's supposed to both be 24 frames per second, they're never quite right. So you're always stretching and moving and putting things back and forth, but it's fun when it turns out. So anybody see, well, we saw the light parade with the neon figures that most people didn't remember. So that was fun and different. Did anybody else have any of these in their collection? Beth, I would have thought Andrew by now would have had 100 of them, the way he collects things. And congratulations on the museum show that he put together. It looked really well done.
I have a few.
You have a few?
Yeah.
If you have any that I don't have, I'll be glad to scan them for you. Let me know which ones you got.
Okay, I can do that. My grandpa gave me, his old 8mm projector. If you can imagine, it's, that black kind of rough iron, they're, do you remember what they look like?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
No,
it's pretty crude. Yeah.
Years ago, I was on a game show, and one of the prizes that I won was a sound movie camera and projector. And I know right where they both are. I don't know where the
What was the game show?
Oh, that one was called Crosswits. It was a thing where you came in, you did a filled in words in a crossword puzzle, and then you had to come up with what the theme of it was. I've got a copy of it. I got to show it someday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really great. They put you and 2 celebrities together, and I forget who the host of it was at the time, but let's see. When I was on, it was Nipsey Russell, some other guy, Kathy Rigby, and Della Reese. I forgot who the celebrity was. And I was paired up with Kathy Rigby, who was between us chickens, as dumb as a fence post. I mean,
oh no.
Oh yeah. So because they would give you a clue, like in an Olympic competition, name the continent for which Alex Haley roots, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the word is probably Africa, right? She'd
Yeah.
come up with Japan. And actually, she was even worse than that because Africa, it's AFRICI, 6 letters. She'd come up with some 7-letter name and of a country that wasn't even a continent. And then in the show, you could watch me at one point.
Yeah.
We get to the heft point of the thing, and I forget the points. And I haven't watched the show in years. I have to dig it out. But it's like, okay, Bill has 782 points, and the other team has 105. And the Nipsey Russell was really funny because I want to go play with Bill, right? And he's I'm going to shoot him with a blow dart. Well, at the other half, after the commercial, they later told me they gave the other team easier answers because it was going so wild. So, but it was really weird when she named the continent for which Alex Haley roots, France. But it was great fun. I won a whole bunch of absolutely useless crap. Like I got a thing that you put in front of a fireplace to more evenly distribute the heat from the fireplace, which was wonderful because I lived in an apartment. But it's still, when we sold my parents' house, it was still in their fireplace. And but the really neat thing I won was a Super 8 sound movie camera and projector. And somewhere I would hope to find whatever reels of Super 8 sound film I shot. It was just real expensive to do, but the projector, I mean, it still looks like it's brand new, but it never got a tremendous amount of use. So But yeah, if anybody else has any of the movies, then they don't have to be the theme parks. Any of the other Disney stuff, I'll be glad to take a whack at trying to restore it. Before we go, Brock had some pictures that he wanted to show us.
Yeah, a couple of pictures that came up the week before I did my thing. So go ahead. Go ahead.
One of the things is I posted each of these on YouTube after it, and like I guess we had 14 people today. Sometimes you put them on YouTube and they end up with 90, 80 something people. So I've had people asking me, well, how come you were so late posting things? So busy, but you know, since I posted your talk, Brock, there's a lot of stamp people out there watching it. So feel good to know that the time and effort you put into it, people are still watching it.
Okay, that's good. So go ahead and share screen now.
Go ahead.
And let's see, where is it? There it
Is
is.
it quite the gimmick, isn't it, with the film? They sell you the film super cheap and then they charge like a
Oops. Can you guys, what are
mega
you
dollars.
seeing?
Yep, got it.
Yes,
Got it?
we-
Okay. So that's inside the roof, the copper roof on top of the Chinese theater. That's myself in the background, standing up high. Mike Teskey, Corey Soulson, Mike West, Kathy Rogers, Chris Brown, John Mazzella, Eric Jacobson, and Bob Weiss. And that was the evening of the day we put the roof on top, you know, lifted the copper roof on top of the theater. We went up there to celebrate. You can't see it in the picture, but there was a couple of 6-packs or something up there we had taken with us. And then this next one, you'd asked a couple weeks ago, you said, has anybody ever played a dwarf? And my answer is yes, I played a dwarf. This was the opening of Snow White 92. The Snow White character in the background you see there or behind us, that's Suzanne Radigan, who was the designer for the show. I was the show producer. And the rest of the team here are people that were part of the main parts of the installation team. And unfortunately, after 33 years, I haven't seen most of these people since then. And so the names kind of escape me. I mean, I recognized them all, but it's like, okay, what's their name? I don't know if you know any of these people, Bill, but
no, but you can zoom in on them and see if you can see it because they're all wearing name
I
tags.
tried to, and the quality is not there. You can't read that because that's what I thought myself. I thought, oh, they've all got name tags. I go in and it's just this blur. So, and I don't have a way of bringing it up any higher, and I don't, because this was actually a scan from a photograph.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, it's not the original stuff, and even that photograph was probably not digital. Digital was just kind of coming in, and so it was probably actual film that was taken, and then we were given copies of it. So, but we all got, as you can see there, we're all on our knees with our shoes. We took our shoes off and we're standing in our shoes on our knees. So we're the 7 dwarfs and there's Snow White behind us. So that was opening day.
Apologies, Brock. Which one are you?
Which one am I? The one in the vest right there.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
He's got the beard. I was the only one with a beard. I'm from California. All the rest of these guys, I think, 1 or 2 of them might have been from California, but the rest were from Walt Disney World.
We could always tell the other California contingent when you're in the company cafeteria, couldn't we?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I was very careful about the fact that I knew there was an employee dress code. And so whenever I walked through the park, like going to this, I would 3 or 4 times a day cross the park going to the work site from the offices. As soon as I walked in through the gate, I'd take my badge off, my name tag off until I got to the ride, and then I'd put it back on.
Right.
Just because I wanted, didn't want to have anybody saying, well, how come some employees get to, I was sensitive to it for them.
You were a nicer guy.
So how do I stop sharing, or do you do that?
Oh, you can, there should be down at the bottom.
Well, that's it. I've got okay, maybe I need to widen this out. Hang on a second. I can't get the arrow to widen out the screen here, or maybe well, I'll just shut that down. There we go.
Yep,
Did that
you got
do it?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't have this. See, I couldn't bring up the stop share or whatever across the bottom here. Because it was just a narrow group of you guys off to the side. So.
I'm just
Now it
looking
allows
for
me to
something.
stretch it. There we go.
Where did I find? Yeah, the trouble is when you have so many damn pictures, you can't find anything.
Brock, were you able to see the stamps that I scanned? Bill was going to send you some.
No, I hadn't seen those yet.
Okay. Are you on Facebook?
Yeah, I don't go on very often, but I am on Facebook.
So, well, if you went to Bill's page and then asked a friend request, then or maybe you can just see them if I put my name in. And so I scanned all like 80 pages of those stamps, and
Oh,
it it was just absolutely fascinating. It's like what we talked about learning history and geography and the process,
yeah.
and that when this stamp collection was collected, Alexander was still the czar in Russia. Hawaii was considered Sandwich Islands.
Yeah, there's some really neat pictures in the ones you shared with me, Tom. And I think Brock would get a kick out of them.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll try to see if I just put in your name on my site, it should come up with you, and then I can request a friend.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or,
Be
I don't even know
careful,
if you
there
need
will be a
to.
lot of them. You have to pick the right one.
We'll go the other way. I'm sure there's more Tom Brooks than there are Brock Thoman. So Tom sent an invite to Brock.
Yeah, just put in my name. You won't find too many, I don't think.
No, there weren't. No, I tried, and there weren't. You didn't
There
show
weren't
up.
any.
That's why I asked you if you had an account, because they couldn't find you.
Yeah, I do have an account. I'll try yours, and then I'll try to see, does it have your picture? So, I mean, I know what you kind of look like, unless
Yeah,
it's
he's
a
up.
picture.
He's on there. Just search for Brock Thoman. It came right up for me.
You're kidding, huh?
Oh.
Wonder what I did wrong.
And I got 2 mutual friends, so I know it's the right Brock.
Yeah, so you could look up Eric or Bill, and we're all most of us are friends, and I'm with
Okay, well,
Don too. Look up Don, and if you look at his friend list, would be on it.
okay.
There are a lot of Don Lancasters too. Rather famous
Yeah.
history, I'm afraid, and not because of me.
At least you're not John Smith.
Well, there was a Don Lancaster who wrote a bunch of books and used to write computer columns in a lot of different magazines. And
it's tough when you're trying to do genealogy and somebody, has again a name like Dan Smith. It's like, what the hell? Matter of fact, Dan Smith I worked with at Disney World, and I wanted to sometime try to track him down. I just gave up. It's just absolutely impossible. You have no idea how many Dan Smiths worked for Disney. So just it's crazy. Well, next week
surprisingly,
sorry, go ahead.
Let's say surprisingly, there's someone at work that has my name as well, and
Really?
we get each other's emails, we get each other's meeting invites. It's terrible.
Well, when I started at General Electric, my first job out of college on the submarines, GE used a big thing where everything was first and middle initial and last name. So, I get everything is addressed to me, W.J. Cotter. Well, I get my very first paycheck and I open it up and I am just in absolute awe. This is more money than I ever had. And this is just wonderful. So I got the call from the manager of our office at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, J.W. Cotter, asking whether or not I had his paycheck because he had mine. But then I go to work for Disney, and I think, wow, this is great and everything. And I get this invitation to go. I'm not there a very long period at all. And I get the invitation to go to the Academy Awards, and I go, this is really great, right? And wow, this is a really nice perk. No, it was meant for Bill Cottrell, Walt Disney's brother-in-law, over at Imagineering. So, his office called. Is there any chance you have? I said, oh yeah, I do. But I tell you, I think I only met the other Bill maybe twice or something. But he was a really nice guy. But we used to joke all the time about. He'd call up and said, I don't know how important this memo is, but I'm sending it over to you. But somebody's saying they need something in a hurry, and I said, oh, okay, thanks. And so the day everything was on paper. So 2 days later, I'd get it because it was over in Glendale. But I just remember, oh man, we're going to the Academy Awards. But you know, oh, my dad actually had a funny thing. 3 o'clock in the morning, phone rings at our home on Long Island, and my dad answers the phone, and it's like, Mr. Cotter, and he's sound asleep. Yeah. It says the strike team's all ready. Do we have permission to breach the door? And he goes, yeah, okay. And I hung up, right? Well, it turned out the name of the chief postal inspector of the United States was William J. Cotter. My father was William A. Cotter, but they called our house thinking they were speaking to the postal inspector and asked whether or not they could initiate the raid. So, and then, oh, just as long as we're on names, what the hell? I may have mentioned this before, but the stupid things you can get. Here we go. Little round button here, it says Cotter, right? Okay, the guy, and this one here, Cotter Cares. The congressman from Hartford, Connecticut was William Cotter, and he had a whole thing, he running for office, and he put all these button Cotter Cares. So I got some and wore them to work one day, and everybody was impressed. But my favorite thing, and I don't know where I have it, was a bumper sticker they put out, send Bill Cotter back where he belongs. And I have a whole bunch of, I have Bill Cotter combs and Bill Cotter pens and everything, all that came out of Hartford, Connecticut. But I just thought that was great. Send Bill Cotter back where he belongs. So
I wanted to ask Carolyn go ahead. I was going to ask Carolyn a quick question. I've been noticing her background. Is that a model of a satellite or probe behind you on that bookshelf?
Yeah, it's a model of a satellite.
Okay, which satellite?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask that. I think it's the one that went to the comet.
Okay, well, that'd be a probe, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a probe instead of a satellite? Yeah, okay.
Well, that's a probe. Yeah.
Okay, I've just been looking at it. I thought, yeah, those look like okay.
Yeah, no, it went to the comet, and I'll think of the name of it as soon as we log out. But yeah.
Not the one that they brought the sample back from, is it?
No, I can look it up.
One of the other ones, yeah.
It went to yeah. It'll take me a minute.
Videos and films of World's Fairs and probably amateur films at Disney and Disneyland, Disney World. Then 2 weeks off. Carol and I are flying up to Seattle. We're going to go and see the granddaughter who is now standing and taking her first tentative steps. So we're going to watch her run around, and we're going to go cherry picking and go to a Mariners game and get out of LA for 2 weeks and look forward to enjoying it. So
Brockett was called Rosetta.
Oh, right. Rosetta. Okay, I remember that one.
So wish everybody well, and Ken, by the way, posted something about massive cuts potentially coming at NASA. And I think all of us have our fingers crossed, and not just for you as an individual, but for the country as a whole, on what we could lose with a 67% reduction in funding. So Carol and I were talking about it last night. We got the fingers crossed and then some for you.
Thank you much. It's definitely an insane category right now. I mean, they're talking about some of the implications are like canceling 41 missions, either operating or in development, as well as cutting the civil service by a factor of 2. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. I mean, it's not even anywhere close to a measured or a careful reduction to save money. It's just slashing and burning like they've done everywhere else. Same thing at the National Science Foundation, for that matter, for ground-based science. They're just trying to kill off science.
It's awful.
Yeah, I just hope none of the satellites come down on an uncontrolled reentry and hit Florida.
Any place specific in Florida?
Like any particular part of Florida? Like what is it called? East Palm Beach, I think.
Or a taco.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Hope to see folks next week, and hope the weather in other parts of the country is not so terrible. So it's we're having what was it yesterday, Carol? 103.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 103 here yesterday. It's supposed to be ever so slightly cooler today, but more humid. And then tomorrow, I think the temperature is supposed to drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on a roller coaster ride right now. We've been into the hundreds a couple times, 2 or 3 times with cold in between.
It's crazy.
Wow. Hey,
And
Bill,
we're getting rain and hail where
Oh.
we are.
Lovely.
The hills behind us have started turning very brown in the last 10 days. It's been amazing.
Bill, last night I watched the Mariners and Twins play. Did you see that game at all? Or
No, we didn't. We were watching
The-
something else.
Twins were up, or excuse me, I mean the Mariners were up 6-3, and the Twins ended up in the last 9th inning, they tied it. And then in the 10th inning, they got I think 6 more runs. So it was ended up winning 12-6, I think. Is what the score was.
What was the score in the game, Dodger game we watched?
19-2.
Yeah.
19-2.
Yeah.
That game?
Yeah, we were watching the one game, and the Dodgers are so far down they're never going to come back. And all of a sudden, they hit a grand
It
slam.
wasn't that game, though, I don't think.
Yeah, but that was the one we were watching where there's no way they could possibly win.
I think it was 8-4, and the other team got a grand slam.
Yeah, and
And
then 8-8, and it ended up going a whole bunch of extra innings, but it ended up like 16-12 or something. It was some huge number. It was like, holy crap, that just doesn't happen in baseball.
Well, cheer up, Bill. The Rockies have got the longest losing streak in history.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
The Rockets they were playing. So, yeah, I mean, this score was getting onto like basketball type numbers. So it was insane.
Yeah. But I must say, Ohtani has been a good addition to the Dodgers.
He's so exciting to watch. Oh my gosh.
I should
Yeah, it ain't
also
over
say,
till the fat lady sings, remember?
of course.
Yogi.
I should also say, Bill, in the good news department, although we were in Florida mostly for a family visit, I got one day to go over to Disney World. So of course I chose Epcot, and it gave me a chance to see all the new stuff there. The Walt the Dreamer statue that's in my background here, the Way of Water with Moana, inspired by Moana, as they say, and all of the new greenery in that world celebration is lovely. Finally getting some shade and relaxation there. Despite all the criticisms, they did a really good job, I think, at reimagining that area. Plus, I also got into Space 220 after about 5 years of trying.
Hey,
Oh yeah, so
great restaurant.
Yeah, by waiting for a bar seat. I still didn't get a reservation, but I did get in by just waiting.
How was the food?
It was actually good. Again, given all the criticisms, I was not expecting much, but it was really good. And at the bar, you can get the full expensive entree or something lighter if you want to. And we ended up going for the expensive entree, and it was worth it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I was there opening day.
In your life at this point.
It's well done, and they were smart for once and did not make the ride up on the space elevator a true simulator. So you arrive and you can still eat.
Good deal. I don't remember in any of these talks, did I show the drone footage I did of the hills around here, how green things were a couple weeks ago?
No.
If people want to see it real quick, hang on, let me just share screen.
While you're bringing that up, Bill, we were talking about weather. I was reading some more research I was doing for the stamp stuff, and the sesquicentennial, 1926 sesquicentennial celebration that was held. I had a stamp for and everything. That particular fair, of the 149 days it was open, it rained 103 days of that 149 days. Which is just, they said that the opening day they had 250 people because it was raining.
Back east,
So.
I had a real kick. Up in the Adirondack Mountains, where Carol and I are going to be going in September, they said it has rained every weekend since November 23rd, every single weekend. So I think it was the Schoharie, New York Police Department put out a post this week on Facebook about, we've been getting a lot of calls about the UFOs up in the sky, the unexplained phenomena. It's called the sun. Don't stare at it too much. But I mean, it was just I was watching a post this morning. They had to replace floodgates on the Erie Canal in New York because they had so much water, it bent the steel gates out at the dams. I mean, they've been having incredible amounts of rain. like at Lake George, Ken, you may appreciate this. They just put out a thing. Please keep your boats very slow because the lake is so high that the slightest wake is damaging docks and boats and everything. I mean, it's just insane amount.
Wow.
This video here. One second.
Mandy and I went out and looked at waterfalls this last week, and boy, they're all running high in Vermont. We've had rain every weekend in Vermont the last 6 or 7 months.
It's crazy.
Wow, those are green.
Well, that is green. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and now they're just getting brown. As in, this was shot. I think I did this on Easter Sunday. I took the drone out.
Yeah, it's not at all green and yellow anymore.
No, yellow is a mustard type plant, and you get some nice contrast of color. But this is about a mile and a half from our house. So when we talk about all the being at the end of the city of LA and the coyotes and all the rest of that, just kind of gives you perspective. That road,
Boy, that looks like it'll be a fire hazard in a few months.
oh, it is. It really is.
Yeah.
This road here is supposed to go across what's called Aliso Canyon, but they never came up with the money to do it. And they keep talking. So they have this giant road that goes to nowhere, has a canyon, and then a giant road on the other side. And I keep thinking, I keep on calling it Eastwood Ravine, but no. Calling it Back to the Future fans.
Bill, we just sold my mother-in-law's house. She died in February to a couple that lost everything in the Pacific Palisades fire.
Oh no.
So they've been back. They're not allowed to sell the property yet or anything. It's still being cleaned up. So they got their insurance settlement and moved here.
Yeah, yesterday the LA Times had an article with a headline, no shit, Sherlock. The headline was, rents and demand higher in fire areas than rest of country.
Yep.
Not
surprised.
Yeah, I mean, if you all of a sudden you have 3,000 people lose their houses or whatever, they got to go live someplace. So of course rents are going to go up. So.
Well, the big thing is they had to go back right before we closed here, and the Army Corps of Engineers had to come through and bulldoze everything, but the property owners had to be there. And there's still so much contamination on the sites, they really can't do much with it.
No. Unfortunately, they're dumping a lot of the contaminated soil just on the other side of this hill, which is no fun. When I was shooting this, by the way, I had, I can zip up here. It goes on forever. I go some different areas. This is if you ever come out, anybody comes out to visit us, we have this area called Three Trees, which is really neat. There's mountains up here, just in the very back. There used to be 4 trees. Why they called it 3, I don't know. But one of the trees died off. But you can go up this hill, and you get up to the top. You can see out to the Pacific Ocean on one side, Magic Mountain theme park in the other direction. Beautiful oak forest up there and everything. But unfortunately, there's no shade on the entire trail, so it's definitely not a summer hiking time. But I was up here doing this, and all of a sudden I had to cut it short because 2 hawks decided that, that drone is annoying us. Let's go take it. But anyway, that's the valley we live in. And you can see every now and then a bird goes by, and they were starting to get real close.
You sure they just didn't think it might be tasty?
That could be. That could very well be. There was a picture a guy has on a Facebook page where the drone's flying along, and you see this dot coming, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden the boss comes out and it just grabs the drone. And he goes, "That was the last I saw." Luckily it was transmitting back to the mothership, but it just took the drone away with it. So.
Wow.
Anyway, that's beautiful downtown. And like I said, when we talk about the hills turning brown, if we went out there today, it would not look anything like that. It's pretty, but that's why we have so many coyotes, and we have bears and bobcats and mountain lions and things like that. So we don't have Don's proximity to them, but what the hell. So I hope to see folks next week, and then I get 2 weeks off, and you can cheer for us as we're at the Mariners. And Carol loves cherries, so we'll be picking cherries and having fun.
Great. Thank you so much.
Have a good trip, Bill.
Yep.
Everyone have a great weekend. Happy birthday, Tom.
Thank you.
See you in a couple weeks.
Bye.
Bye.